Welcome to the Slapshot Podcast, episode number 108. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Why don't you just trickle on in here, grab yourself a chair, get seated quickly. We got a lot of things to get to today. We have no time to spare. None. Absolutely not. The NHL playoffs are about to start. They start on Saturday. This is Friday. Happy Friday. You made it. Listen, you survived. You survived your work week. You survived the season. Well, some of you did. If you're a fan of the team that did make it, it's all right, man. Sit back, watch. This is the best time of year for hockey. There's no question about it. Jam-packed episode. We can't even get to the news. There's so much that's happened since. All different kinds of general managers getting fired. New head coaches coming in, trying to make a difference. Cole Caulfield scored 50. Nick Suzuki has 100. Demidov, most points by a rookie. Again, another Habs rookie at the top of the scoreboard. We didn't even get to talk about how absolutely dominant Lane Hudson was again, and Uri Slafkovsky hitting 30. We don't have time to dig into all of that. We have to break down the first round of the East and the West. There are 8 matchups. And I'm going to break every single one of them down. We're going to predict the winner of every single matchup. All right? So, listen, jam-packed. You found yourself in here by accident. Listen, I appreciate you being here. Okay? If you're watching over on YouTube, go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. All right? Appreciate it. Maybe you're listening to this. You enjoy this in an audio form. It's going to be a long one. So, I appreciate you turning this on your long road trip, wherever you're off to. All right? Make sure you follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcast in an audio form. Make sure you follow me on X at FuzzyChris91, the podcast on X as well at Slapshot Podcast. Make sure to head over to the TikTok, the IG as well, and keep up with everything that's going on there. But listen, we're gonna get right into it. We don't have time to not get into it right away. Let's start with the West, all right, and let's start with the Colorado Avalanche. So, this is what we're looking at. It's the whole playoff scene here. Okay, like I said, we got the East, we got the West. We're gonna break down some winners. All right, Colorado Avalanche, you're first on the list. They are taking on the LA Kings. So, here's how this is going to go. Matchup 1. We're not going to spend a whole bunch of time because, like I said, we got a lot of things to cover here, okay? A lot of things to cover. The Kings did themselves no favors yesterday. When yesterday, I mean Thursday. They lost to the Calgary Flames. They didn't lose in overtime, but this is a team that is now, they won, I think, 22 games in regulation this season. They're a playoff team. They've lost 20 times in overtime. And they get the pleasure of facing the Colorado Avalanche in the first round. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is going to be a quick one. Colorado's going to take care of business in 5 games. And that's putting it nicely. This could be a sweep. I'm going to give the Kings 1 game because maybe. You know what I mean? Colorado was the most dominant team on home ice this year. The most dominant team. The Kings were better on the road. They were not good at home. So when Colorado goes into Crypto.com, good chance they win there as well. I don't know what the Kings can do to turn this into a series. I really don't. Their defense is not better. Their offense most certainly is not. The goaltending seems to be like at the worst possible time trying to figure itself out. Anton Forsberg got a lot of the starts down the stretch. Darcy Kemper seems to have lost his starting job. I don't know what to make of this for the Kings, but I do know it's going to be a quick one. That's what it is. So, listen, here for a good time, not a long time, the LA Kings. You did something. You made the playoffs in a division where no team should have made the playoffs. But, listen, here we are. Good for you. Applause. You did what you needed to do. Next, let's get on to some meaningful games here. This is Dallas and Minnesota. I'm not going to lie. When I'm not watching the Habs or any of the Eastern Conference games, this is the game I'll be watching. The Stars and the Wild. We're going to go on a coin flip here a little bit. I'm taking Minnesota in 7. I'm going to explain why. Okay. So we know this has been confirmed. Jesper Wallstedt's going to get the start. He's going to get game 1. He has been very good this season. The Minnesota Wild as a team and the work that Bill Guerin has done in building this squad, I got to believe in it, right? When you go out and acquire a top defenseman like Quinn Hughes, you're putting the rest of the league on notice. We knew from the beginning the Central Division was going to be a battle. There's no reason these two teams should be meeting in the first round. Let's not get it twisted. But Gary Bettman hates hockey. He hates it. That's the only reason why Dallas and Minnesota are facing off in the first round. There's no reason for this to be happening, but listen, here we are. Minnesota went out. They got a fantastic defenseman. And then they added some nice pieces down the stretch. And 2 pieces that I really like for them was the addition of Michael McCarron, 4th-line center. We know they need help down the middle. And they went out and they got Nick Foligno. A second Foligno. You're like, hey, why not get 2? Guy who can bring some energy. He's a leader he can be a leader on this team. He's been to the dance a few times. This is a really good Minnesota team. I know their center depth isn't as elite, but they can hit you from so many different angles. And the blue line is rock solid, and the goaltending is good. For Dallas, it's not that it's not as good, right? Like, let's not take anything away from Miro Heiskanen, Thomas Harley, Esa Lindell. They went out and they got Tyler Myers, which I don't know if that really moves the needle either way. They're relatively healthy. We don't know the status of Rupe Hintz. If he's back in the lineup, that obviously helps, gives them more center depth. I just think there's a little bit missing from Dallas, and I'm not quite confident in Jake Ottinger. He is going to be the turning point in this series, okay? This is why I put it to 7, because it can go either way. If Dallas wins this, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not. This is a fantastic matchup. If Gary's going to penalize us, at least let us have 7 games of it so we can enjoy it. Jake Ottinger is going to be the wild card here for this team. If we see the Jake Ottinger that we saw this year, it's going to be a challenge. Right? It's going to be a challenge. If we see the Jake Ottinger that we've seen in previous years, they got a real chance. I don't expect a lot of these games to be like high-scoring 6-5 finals. I don't see that. I see tight defensive matchups, lots of physicality on either side, defensemen who can move the puck. It's a fantastic matchup. It's just a shame that it's coming in the first round. That's all I got to say to it. So I got to give an edge somewhere in the playoffs. You got to give an edge to the goaltending side of it. I'm a believer that you win from the back end out. Minnesota Wild have the better back end. They have the better goalie. I'm going to give them the edge here. And listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'm okay with it if Dallas comes away with it. Both teams are winners here in my book. It's going to suck for whichever one of the fan bases that sees this team go home in the first round, because it should have never been that. But listen, again, Gary hates hockey. All right, that's matchup number 2. Let's move over here to matchup number 3. Okay. This one's a good one. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Utah Mammoth. So let's start with the Mammoth and the fact that they are a playoff team. It has been really fun to watch this team get better and better every year. I know they came over from Arizona. They already had good players, but now with Ryan Smith and that leadership group behind, willing to spend money, willing to make this team better, right? They're here. I don't know how long they're going to be here for, but I'm going to give Vegas the edge here for a couple of reasons. One, This is a veteran team that knows exactly what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. They've been there before. They are perennial contenders every single year. And the last time we did a show, John Tortorella had just gotten hired. Now, if you would have told me then, because I'm pretty sure we discussed it, none of us knew how this was going to go. But if you would have told me that John Tortorella would have gone undefeated in regulation and finished the year, I don't think I would have believed you. I would have said you're crazy. But that's exactly what happened. This is a completely different Vegas team from what we saw earlier with Bruce Cassidy to what we're seeing with John Tortorella. Could the magic wear off? Maybe. But it just feels like everybody's playing a little bit more relaxed, which is saying something because John Tortorella usually doesn't exude feeling relaxed. But hey, he's wearing a suit behind the bench. He seems calm. He's just letting the boys go out there and play and redirect them when they need it. There's a lot of John Tortorella on this team, though, in a short period of time. They 200% pay more attention to the defensive zone. And that's a staple of John Tortorella, right? Not just blocking shots, but the attention to detail in the back end. There's no question about it. We've seen Carter Hart play a decent amount down the stretch, and he's looked pretty good. And remember, when he first showed up, it was not good. Even Adin Hill was less of a trash can than he usually is, but that wasn't saying much, right? At the end of the day, playoff experience, it's important. You need it. I used to be one of those people it's just, you got to be a good team. Winners win. You're right. But playoff winners win. We've seen multiple cases of players having fantastic regular seasons. You get to the playoffs, it's a different game, and all of a sudden, that's it. And we've seen cases where players maybe have, mediocre regular seasons, but when the playoffs show up, you know exactly what you're getting, right? If I talk about Justin Williams, you all know he's that's who you want in a game 7, right? We all know there are players who show up at this time of year. Vegas has been there. They are battle tested. They've been through a lot. I don't think their record is indicative of what they can achieve. This is a team that is nowhere near their potential this year. Nowhere near. And if they get hot at the right time, look out. They have a very deep offensive group, right, that can score goals. They're very good defensively. They got a whole bunch of great players on the back end. And the goaltending is, listen, it's going to be what it's going to be. But they once won a Stanley Cup with a whole bunch of other goalies starting. So it's possible. It can be done. And I just think for the Mammoth, we're missing a little bit of that seasoning in the playoffs. I think they're going to make this a series, right? They're not going to bow out in 4 and get absolutely rolled over. I think they could come and win a couple of games, certainly on home ice. But I think they're going to be missing that leadership and that kind of collectiveness that we see these Stanley Cup winning teams have. But this is a good first step for the Mammoth, especially the division that they came out of. They had to face some of the best teams all year. But they're still here. They still get a wild card spot. To me, in my books, they've earned it. There's no question about that. But I'm going to give the Golden Knights the edge here. We have to give it to the Golden Knights. I have them in 6. Next, matchup number 4. Man. Look what we have here. Oh, man. Listen, I'm excited to watch this, but not because I care about who's winning. If you're a betting man like I am, you should start betting the overs and start doing it now before that moves. There is no sense of defense in any of these matchups, right? The Anaheim Ducks are probably they are a Katy Perry song, as I said yesterday on Total Hockey Now. They are hot, cold, yes, no. elite, terrible. You have no idea what Anaheim Ducks team is going to show up. And when we talk about leadership and being battle tested and knowing what it takes to win, the Anaheim Ducks don't. Like, they don't have that, right? I know it's been a difficult year for the Edmonton Oilers all around, right? But the defense not being, again, what it needs to be. I mean, the offense struggled at different periods of time. Let's not even talk about the goaltending. The goaltending. Oh, man. Do we even remember, like, where is Tristan Jarry? Do we even know if he's still in the city? Like, who? I don't know. But here's what we do know, okay? It does sound like Leon Draisaitl is going to at least be close to ready for game one or to play. So it sounds like he's right there. I don't expect him missing. It would shock me if he missed more than 2 games. It would shock me completely. He was at practice. He's skating. We've seen Leon play on like one leg in the first round before. He's probably chomping at the bit. This is where your elite players take over. The Anaheim Ducks are a great story this year, but the consistency is not there from them. They got a lot of young guys. This is a good first step. Some people had them being a playoff team. I didn't. I didn't think they were going to get there. And then they stuck around, but it wasn't always pretty, right? We saw them go on long losing streaks. We saw them win. They kind of fizzled out towards the end of the year again. They kind of backdoored their way in. They were leading the division, which would probably have helped them a lot here. Instead, they got to take over the Oilers. If you're the Ducks, you're going to get into basically a shootout every night with Edmonton. You're probably going to lose that battle more often than not, right? Like, it's just the way that it goes, right? I don't think the Ducks have enough. If they're undisciplined as well, then Edmonton's power play is going to bury you, right? I don't necessarily think it's the Oilers being a better team. It's just that the Ducks are not where they need to be just yet. It's not. It's a good first step. And they got guys on that team that some good veteran presence. They've got guys who have Stanley Cups on their fingers, but it's still not enough. It's not enough. That core and that nucleus of players is very, very young. And they are going to be tested early and often. If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, yes, there's going to be a lot of speed on the ice, but you're going to be tested at quite a few different times. For McDavid and Draisaitl, it's going to be a different test, right? Because you're going to have to go up against guys like Radko Gudas, Trouba, John Carlson. These are good defensemen, especially Trouba and Gudas, who are a physical edge to it. They're going to want to get licks in on McDavid. They're going to want to get licks in on Draisaitl. But if you start clutching and grabbing them and getting behind the 8 ball and taking penalties again, that power play is going to score more often than not. So you can't do that. The Ducks don't have an elite penalty kill by any means. I give it to Edmonton in 6. I don't see how the Ducks are going to win many games in Edmonton. They were not a very good road team. Not that the Oilers were stars and moons better, but the Ducks were 2 different teams at home and on the road. I just think the lack of experience is going to show. So, matchup number 4 here, give me the Edmonton Oilers. All right? That's the West. All right? That's the West. Let's recap it in case you missed it. Let's go back to 3 here. Vegas in 6, Minnesota in 7, Colorado in 5. All right. Let's head over now to the Eastern Conference. Let's start with Buffalo and Boston. I think this is a great battle. This is a great battle. To me, it can go either way. The run that the Buffalo Sabres went on this year was generational, and that's not doing it enough justice. This team went on a run. They came back down a little bit to earth of late, but listen, you can't go on a tear for months in a row. It's just unsustainable. But they've made a case to be the best team in the Atlantic, and here they are. Their reward is they have to play the Boston Bruins, who I don't think enough people give them the credit that they deserve. They're very good in goal. Jeremy Swayman had a very, very good season. Defensively, I think they can hold their ground. And then I think their offense is good enough to compete. It's led by one individual in particular, of course. It's David Pasternak's offense. And then everybody else has got to try to contribute, right? And if I look at the Buffalo Sabres, I see a lot of similarities offensively for them. Like, there are guys who can contribute at a really high level. Tage Thompson leads that group. And then the rest of them kind of settle in. This is going to be a physical battle. I don't think I'm breaking any news here to anybody, right? You have a really good blue line for the Buffalo Sabres. It has taken them years to build this, but they are here. They are here, and they are big. And I know that, who is it? Stern was saying in one of his press conferences, yeah, they're big, but so are we. We're going to hit everybody. And that's fine. I get it. But the Sabres D core is big, and they can move the puck as well. I don't think the Bruins D core has, well, obviously they don't have as big of defensemen, but I don't think they move the puck as well. This one probably comes down to a little bit of goaltending, which I expect Ugo Pekka-Luukkonen to get game one start for Buffalo. If that isn't 100% perfect, I don't think Lindy Ruff will hesitate to turn his attention to Alex Lyon, right? Whereas for the Bruins, I mean, it's Jeremy Swayman the whole way. It doesn't matter. I think the Bruins and the goaltending will keep them around longer than they need to. And I believe that as this series goes and the physicality takes over, I just can't see it favoring the Bruins because of how big the Sabres are on that back end. That's going to take its toll when you keep hitting guys. Like the Pasternaks of the world and the Zakas and the Lindholms. It's not that they can't handle it. It's just I don't see this old school Bruins hockey. I think there's a little bit more skill on that Bruins team, and that's okay too, right? Don't get it twisted. Listen, Bruin fans, I'm not saying that the skill is a bad thing. And we still got to see if the Buffalo Sabres can figure it out, because speaking of teams that have no experience, I mean, here's one of them. They haven't been to this part of hockey in April in over a decade. So it wouldn't shock me if they lack the composure or the leadership necessary to continue into the playoffs. If they get bounced in the first round, it makes sense. But I'm going to give the Sabres the edge. They've shown me that they've done enough to be able to compete. They got a little bit of nasty to their game. They're big. They're going to be hard to play against. I don't see this game being, again, I'm not expecting many high-scoring affairs here. Lots of physicality. But I don't see these being a barn burner every night. So I'm going to give the edge to the Buffalo Sabres. They've earned it. Do not let me down, Sabres. All right? Move on. Let's move on here. Matchup number 6. It's my time now. It's my time. Now, the Montreal Canadiens are taking the Tampa Bay Lightning. The series will start in Tampa Bay because they finished second in the Atlantic. I want to preface this because if you're watching this, you're seeing it and you're going, Chris, what are you talking about? And if you're listening to this, give me a second. Continue to pay attention to the road, but give me a second. Now, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7. Having said that, to me, I feel like this series is a little bit of a coin toss. Okay? The Montreal Canadiens have demonstrated that they can keep up with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They can. This was a team that was very, very capable, Montreal that is, of scoring goals, right? They were top 10 in goals. They showed us that they could have a lot of success on the road. So they can go into Tampa and win games. And they showed that they can compete with the physicality that is going to come from the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning were the most penalized team in the league. And a lot of that was a lot of nasty in it, right? And we saw it the last time they met with Corey Perry hanging around. It wasn't always pretty. But the Montreal Canadiens decided that, hey, we can do this. And for the Canadiens, it's not about being overly physical. That's not what we're doing here, right? For Tampa Bay, for large stretches of the season, they were missing a ton of players. We still don't know what's going to happen with Victor Hedman. It sounds like John Cooper is going to have an update on him. I don't know what's happening. I'm just going to assume it's not good. So my theory is he's not here for this first round. And that hurts Tampa Bay. I also don't know about the health of Noah Dobson, right? Because he's not here as well. It sounds like Alex Carrier is going to be in the lineup. Here's the problem. Noah Dobson and that loss on the right side is massive. You don't replace a guy like Noah Dobson, right? We saw that with the Islanders. But the problem is now is some guys are going to have to hold chairs that they don't usually hold. I'm talking about Struble and I'm talking about Jack-Eye. I'm not saying that they can't play. But the last time the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning met, it was in the Stanley Cup final. And it ended with Tampa Bay hoisting the Stanley Cup over their head. And I was in shambles, right? I remembered. It was painful. I didn't like it. It left a sour taste. But we saw in that series how the Canadiens ran out. What was it? It was Weber, Sherratt, Petrie, and was Mike Matheson already there? It was a combination of four defensemen that kept rolling. Weber, Sherratt, and Petrie were definitely there. And they ate up a ton of minutes. We did not see Brett Kulak and Alexei Yemlin were part of that blue line. And they did not. They played sparingly. So if you're entering the playoffs now where you're going to rely heavily on your top four and you're going to have to roll them out there, the problem is Alexander Carrier is part of that four. And I'm going to be polite, Alex. That's not it, right? It's not him. I don't want to overuse the guys who can move the puck. It doesn't sound like David Reinbacher is going to get a shot right off the rip, but I think he could. Now, I understand why Jaden Struble is in the lineup. I also understand why Arbor Jack-Eye is there. Okay? I think they have to play, and I think they got to be good. Really good. I don't want to hear their names on the ice. If I don't hear their names, it means it's going well. We're doing what we need to do. Okay? And I think for Jack-Eye, it's important, especially. This isn't his first rodeo anymore, right? This isn't his first time. For him and the discipline that's going to come. We saw it in that last game, right? He didn't fight anybody, I don't think. Willingly. Nobody's going to want to fight Arbor Jack-Eye. You understand that? Like, Corey Perry ain't taking a fight with him, okay? So if you're Arbor, you got to make sure that you don't get dragged into that kind of stuff. You got to be disciplined, right? Lions don't have to roar every time to let everybody know that they are king of the jungle. Your presence can do that as well, right? And I think that's what you need out of Jack-Eye. Somebody starts to get a little bit out there, then fine, you can remind them and say, hey, stay in your lane or it's going to be me you're going to deal with, right? But again, nobody's fighting Jack-Eye because they don't want to get tugged. They're going to fight guys like Struble and Anderson. And those guys, I don't want those guys fighting all the time. Anderson will do it, but I need Anderson on the ice. Right? That's where I need Josh Anderson. I need him on the ice. All this to say, the Montreal Canadiens are going into this with two rookie goalies. Not one, two. Because Sam Montembeault's fallen off the planet. So, Jakub Dobes had himself a good, not even good. He had himself a great season. Let's not get it twisted. He played very well. Top 10 in goals saved above expected. He did his part. He has played a whole lot better down the stretch. There are times where his game is rock solid. There are other times where he starts to flounder in his net a little bit like a fish. He is who he is, but he's going up against Andrei Vasilevsky, who has 2 Stanley Cups and a Vezina under his belt. Like, when you talk about goaltending royalty, Vasilevsky is there in the modern era. And if this comes down to a goaltending battle, listen, I'm sorry, but I got to turn towards Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky did the impossible and, like, beating Carey Price. And Carey Price, to me, is one of the, greatest goalies of this generation. So if it comes down to a goaltending battle, I don't like that very much. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, when it comes to winning, I don't think any outside of the Florida Panthers who aren't here, like, they know exactly what it takes to get it done. They know exactly what it takes to get it done against your team. I know it's been a minute, but this group is good. And this is going to be a coaching battle between John Cooper and Marty St. Louis. And it's not very often that Marty St. Louis could be the coach that gets out-coached. And that's not because he's not good. John Cooper is up there. He knows the buttons he needs to push. He's coaching royalty in my book as well. So there's a lot of coin flips. And the Montreal Canadiens need to win them in order to win the series. I think it's going 7. You're going to get a whole lot of back and forths. You're going to get a ton of momentum swings in this game. In every game in the series, for the Montreal Canadiens, it's really simple, man. Go out there, do your job. Push the pace. They got to be the aggressor. They got to be the team that wants it. They got to set the pace. They can't be the team that comes out and sits back and tries to defend and gets only 3 shots on goal 6 minutes into the second. You can't do that. You got to make life for Andrei Vasilevsky extremely tough. You got to pepper him with shots. You got to get something towards the net. You got to be good in your own zone. You got to get your licks when you can. If you're coming down the board and you're a winger, finish him. Finish him. Put him in. Right? Make life difficult for those Tampa Bay Lightning forwards. Because guess what? A team like them that led the league in penalty minutes, when those wires start to touch, they're going to get themselves in trouble. And then you let the power play do the work. But you can't rely, or you can't just be a power play team at this time of the year. You got to beat your opponent 5-on-5. So, and make sure you're aware of where Nikita Kucherov is at every given moment. Stick to him. Don't ever let him out of your sight. If you don't see him in front of you, he's behind you and it's already too late. But again, am I rooting for the Montreal Canadiens? You damn well believe it. The problem is if it's a coin toss and I got to take the heart out of it completely, if Tampa Bay wins in 7, I'm disappointed. But at the same time, I'm like, man, winners win. Winners win. All right? But you know where my allegiance stands. There's no question about it. Don't get it twisted. All right? Matchup number 7 here. This one also going to be a really good one. The Hurricanes and the Senators. Now, some of you are going to be shocked by this, but this one could be an upset. This one could very well be an upset. The Carolina Hurricanes had the best record in the Metropolitan. They also had the best record in the Eastern Conference. Not going to take anything away from that. This is a very, very good coach team, right? I'm not taking a single thing out of Rob Brendamore. They didn't really go out and add a ton, right? They brought in Delorier, but the rest of this makeup of this team is good. They were tops in the league in shots on goal on the road, and like they can hurt you from so many different angles. Okay, here's their Achilles heel. Okay, for the Carolina Hurricanes, it's goaltending. Okay, Freddie Anderson is terrible. He is bad. He is miserable. I would say the only reason the Hurricanes are where they are is because of the generational run that Brandon Bussey went on to start the year. Brandon Bussey is a rookie. Okay, you talk about rookie goalies. Brandon Bussey is one of them. And he had to be extraordinary at times for the Carolina Hurricanes to be exactly where they are. Okay? The struggles for the Ottawa Senators have been well documented this year. Okay? For all the stuff surrounding Linus Ullmark and whatnot. Okay? For all of it. The Hurricanes are here And Linus Ullmark has been better down the stretch. Now, the Senators overall, defensively, are a top 10 team in a lot of categories. The one thing that sunk their boat completely was the goaltending. Their goals saved above expected for large stretches of the season were last. If that goaltending just balances out a little bit, this is a whole different team. It's a whole different team. Because they're good defensively, and guys like Sherratt and Sanderson on the back end and those are good puck-moving defensemen that can eat up minutes, right? And the offense has some skill to it, 100%. And they got some grit. They got that sandpaper. Brady's going to be hitting everything. Again, it's about controlling your emotions. And for the Senators, they were here last year, right? They were here. They saw it. They know what's expected. If this goaltending battle goes as we've seen it run the last few weeks, then I like the Ottawa Senators to come away with it. Because the goaltending for the Carolina Hurricanes has just not been good enough. Somebody's going to have to take over. Somebody's going to have to step up and figure it out. I don't know if they can do it, and that is a lot to ask a rookie goalie. I know it's been a fantastic season for Bussy. Absolutely fantastic story. But if Linus Ullmark starts to get hot behind a very good defensive team and the Hurricanes can get a couple of goals, Carolina's in trouble. Carolina's good defensively as well. Like I said, they pound the puck. They pound it. They know how to generate shots. But it would not shock me if the Ottawa Senators came away with it. If Linus Ullmark finds this game, if this becomes a goalie battle, I'm going to take Ullmark over Bussy 9 out of 10 times. This is what you paid Linus Ullmark for, by the way. This is the moment. I don't care what happened all year. I don't care. And I'm sure fans don't care either anymore. They don't care. This is the moment where you get to rewrite everything that was said about you. None of that matters if you win. It doesn't matter. None of it. You can exercise all your demons, with fans at least, by winning hockey games. I don't know how the Carolina Hurricanes fan base would take it if they get ousted in the first round, but it probably comes down to not having good goaltending. Sometimes you need a goalie, and you can't rely on a rookie to bring you all the way there. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. All right. So again, we'll see how that goes, but I would not be surprised if the Ottawa Senators beat the Carolina Hurricanes. That's all I'm saying. All right. Last and most certainly not least, okay? The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, there's no reason these two teams should be meeting here. We were robbed in the traditional 1v8. The Montreal Canadiens get to play the Boston Bruins. These teams don't meet, but I guess if Gary's going to give us unfair playoffs, sure, have Team 6 and Team 7 face each other. The Battle of Pennsylvania, I'm going to be watching on the East Coast as well. When I'm not watching the Habs in the early game, I want to be watching this. I'm also trying to find, and maybe you can help me, if there is a sports book that offers over 0.5 brawls in the series, I'm taking the over. I'm talking about a 5v5, maybe the goalie's getting involved. Okay? If you're old enough to know how these series go between these two teams, you know what I'm talking about. Now, there's going to be a lot of physicality in these ones. The Flyers are not the Broad Street bullies anymore, but they still have a little bit of sandpaper to them. And the Flyers got here, their run down the stretch was pretty good. Like, the addition of Porter Matone has really helped them out. It's given them a little bit of an offensive boost that they didn't have. But overall, the Flyers are just one big, boring hockey team. They don't generate a ton of shots. They're great defensively, and the goaltending is above average. So they're going to be involved in a lot of close games. But the Penguins are very capable. Very. of playing at an exceptionally high level. Okay? Erik Karlsson has been nothing short of great since coming back from the Olympics. He can definitely be a factor, right? Chris Letang is healthy. The blue line is in order. Don't forget, they went out, they got Sam Girard. Kyle Dubas has been cooking all year. Anthony Mantha provides them a ton of depth as well. Big seasons from guys like Rickard Rakell. I mean, Gino's healthy. Sidney Crosby was doing Sidney things. If Stuart Skinner can hold his ground, which I believe he can, the Penguins have the upside offensively. I think the defensive side is about a coin toss, right? The defense is about the same, both sides. I don't think there's a clear-cut winner on either end. And the goaltending does go to the Flyers. It does. I would take Dan Vladar over Stuart Skinner all day, every day. But the Penguins' offense is just better. It's deeper. It can hit you from a lot of different angles, right? And you need that in the playoffs. Sometimes your best players need to be your best players. There's no question about it. But it doesn't hurt when a guy like Anthony Mantha scored 30 goals for the first time in his career is occupying a middle six role. So, I would be foolish to bet against Sidney Crosby. I would be foolish. It's foolish to bet against Connor McDavid. Most times, foolish to bet against Crosby. You don't think he's going to be able to pick this team up and carry it to wherever they need it to be? He's royalty in hockey. This man knows exactly what it takes to win. He's won at every single level. When he's not in the lineup, it shows. He's here. I don't think anybody on the Flyers can contain him. Like, Couturier can do his best to slow him down, but he's not containing him. And if you do, well, you still got the rest of them out there who can still do some damage. So I just think the Flyers are going to run out of offense at one point. I don't know how high scoring this series is going to be just yet. A lot of people think it's going to be high scoring. A lot of books have opened the game one at 6.5. I'm like, that seems high. But also, if both teams get into a ton of penalty trouble, I can see the power plays connecting. So maybe that's one side. But it also wouldn't shock me if we see a much better defensive game out of both sides. Would not shock me. But again, the Flyers were decent. They were decent down the road. The boost of Porter Matone definitely helps them. It gives them an opportunity here. But again, he's a kid. He's a child. Now he's coming to the playoffs. Like, this isn't college hockey anymore, Porter. This is where the big boys play. Now you got potentially 7 games staring across Sidney Crosby and some of the greatest players to ever touch ice. That can be intimidating at best. So I'm going to give the edge here to the Penguins. I think they can take care of it in 6. It's not because I don't think that they're miles ahead better than the Flyers. I just think they have the experience that needs it. This was a good season for the Flyers. Even if they get spanked in 4, doesn't matter. I don't think a lot of people were picking them to be here. A lot of folks had them being sellers at the deadline. And Danny Briere and the gang held pat, they held on to their assets. Now they're here. So take the learning experience, build from it to be ready to go again. But it might not just be enough here. So let's recap quickly here. Games 5 to 8. So the Penguins in 6, Ottawa in 6 as well, Tampa Bay 7. I explained it. And then Buffalo in 7. And listen, there you have it, folks. There you have it. That is the episode for this week. We have gone through all the playoff matchups, given you the exact perfect picks for the first round. I appreciate all that. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, sticking all the way to the end here. If you have not, you're watching this over on YouTube, do me a favor, all right? Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. All right, share it with your friends. If you just want to watch specific sections, you can send specific sections to your friends. There's libraries here. You can do that as well. Follow me on X at FuzzyChris91. Follow the podcast on X at Slapshot Podcast. You hit the link tree. You can find the podcast in all its audio forms, including Spotify, including Apple Podcasts. Follow the podcast as well on Instagram. Follow it on TikTok. There's lots of places we can get it. The next episode is going to come right before the second round starts, okay? We're in playoff format right now, all right? So the next time we talk to each other, we're going to know the next batch of teams moving on to the next round. We're going to break down those ones as well, all right? Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. Enjoy the first round of the playoffs. We'll talk to each other soon.